Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Not Your Average Coach. I'm Corey Jones, and today I want to make a video a little bit different than my normal videos. I want to talk about what I've learned after being in a relationship with my wife for 10 years, and basically how I've learned how to make the relationship better. So I want to start off by saying that I am not claiming to be qualified to give relationship advice or marriage advice or any form of counseling. This video is simply me going over my experiences and how I have personally learned to do what I can to help with the relationship and to continue to grow strong with my wife. So I'm gonna give a little bit of a backstory. Alicia and I got together when I was 20 years old. I'm now 30. I was in the Marines. She was working at a corporate job. We were both pretty much considered party animals. I was a heavy drinker. She liked to go out and do the nightlife. We got together and we had a very fun, exciting relationship, but unfortunately at the time, a lot of it consisted of a drunk relationship. If you knew us back then, you probably wouldn't think that we should have been together. We typically really only got along well when we were drunk, but we partied a lot, so it ended up working out. If you know her and I, you'll know that we're completely different human beings. She is a much more introverted, sensitive kind of person. I'm very extroverted, very brash and direct and straightforward. And those two personalities don't always align. They don't always go that well together. They require a lot of work. So early on in our relationship, I'd say like the first 5 or 6 years when we were heavy drinkers, that kind of was like our crutch to allow us to stay in a relationship together and somewhat enjoy our time with each other. And over the past 4 or 5 years being sober, it's been a different experience. But overall, we've had to work extremely hard to be happy together. We both love each other very much, but like I said, our personalities don't typically see eye to eye on just about anything at all. So it definitely is a work, and it's a work in progress. I think it's safe to say for me that over the past few years, that's when I've grown the most, and I've learned to do what I can to help the relationship. And over the years, I've really learned that I can only control what I do. So if you look at a typical argument or a fight that we've had, and I'll even go out, I'll even say that within the past few months, we've had fights that were so bad to where we have threatened divorce and threatened to, move out. And I'm talking recently. Whereas, many people look at us and think that we're this perfect couple or we're a power couple. I'm here to say that that's not always the case. We are a very strong couple, but it's not something that comes easy, and it's not something that comes naturally. We really have to work at it. And just like every other relationship, we have our battles, we have struggles, we have very many, situations where we don't see eye to eye, and it almost breaks us apart sometimes. So I just want to throw that out there so you guys kind of understand that we go through the same struggles that everybody else. We have just learned to work around them or work with them, and that's what this video is about. So a typical argument would look something like one of us, and we've gone to couples therapy. We actually continue to go to couples therapy every other week. Even when we're doing really well, we like to go to it because it's a good maintenance thing. But we've learned something called the conflict cycle. Basically what the conflict cycle is in any interaction with somebody, somebody's emotions are gonna be present. So say I said something to Alicia and it got her emotional. It made her either upset, it made her sad, it made her frustrated, angry, whatever emotion she feels at the time is going to give out a behavior. And that behavior coming back to me is probably gonna strike an emotion with me that causes a behavior coming from me, which is gonna in turn hit her emotions, and then she's gonna act, and it's just gonna go into this long vicious cycle called the conflict cycle, unless you can work your way out of it. So a typical conflict cycle with her and I would be me saying something to her that was very direct and straightforward, coming from in my opinion, coming from my heart and coming from a helping place, and it making her feel sad or making her feel upset because she thinks it's something that I'm saying to kind of put her down. Whereas I'm straightforward, I'm brash. And so that would be essentially like the start of one of our conflict cycles. And she'd get upset about it, and she would respond to something with me. And typically when she gets emotional, she puts up a guard, and her guard causes her to be somewhat of a hard ass. And when that hard ass behavior comes back to me, that's when I'm like, okay, what the fuck? I'm trying to help you. You took it the wrong way, and that's fine, but don't be an asshole to me. And it just escalates from there. And what happens is she ends up getting really sad because her personality, I mean, she will get her feelings hurt. Whereas for me, when I'm emotional, I get very angry. So where we don't typically see to eye gets even worse during those times. And I think this is probably very common in every relationship, but when you get into these interactions with people, knowing that we have ego and pride, we justify the reason, why we act the way we do. I get angry because you're coming at me based on something that you misinterpreted. So that's going to make me angry, right? And it's justifiable. And I say, well, if only she didn't come at me like such a hard ass because she took something the wrong way, I wouldn't get so angry. Well, recently, what I've learned is that no matter what, she's going to interpret things the way she interprets them. She's going to act based on her emotions. And that's not something I can control if I'm being myself. If I want to walk on eggshells or feel like I'm walking on eggshells or do everything and say everything simply to cater to her emotions, and I understand as a husband I should do that sometimes, but if I'm living my life like that, it's going to be very challenging for me because I'm not going to feel authentic. I'm not going to feel like my real self. So that's not necessarily the solution to that. What I can work on though is my emotional behavior, how I act when I'm emotional. And I've learned over the past few months that in a relationship, when it's two people coming together, there's variables that go into that, like I said, you can't always control. So I can't control the way she responds to things. I can't control the way her emotions are, the way she feels her emotions. But what I can control is what I do, how I respond, what my behavior is when I'm emotional. And it takes time and it takes practice, but it's all I can control. And what I've learned over the last few months is that as long as one of us is working on that, it's probably gonna solicit a better response from her. So if I can control the amount of anger that I present to her when I'm feeling angry, just because I'm feeling angry doesn't mean I need to act in the angry fashion. If I can somewhat control that, her responses are gonna be better. And now that's not me feeling like I'm walking on eggshells or feeling like I'm not being myself. It's me understanding that even what I used to justify before is actually a fucking problem. Here I am thinking that her behavior was the problem, but I'm just as guilty, and I didn't realize that because of the pride or whatever. So if I can work on what I believe is a bit of an anger problem on my end, it may indirectly or actually directly affect the way she responds to me and the way she acts to me. So all of these things that I have considered to be problems of hers are really just her response. If I can control a problem of mine, which I didn't see as a problem before, it's going to make a world of difference. And then if she has it in her, which she does, and we've both been working on this, to basically work on her own self, work on how she controls her emotions and how she responds when her feelings may be hurt, it's going to affect the way I respond. So it really only takes one person to really focus on improving themselves and fixing their own personal problems and their own inner demons to really turn a relationship around and make it grow in such a positive direction. Now, if you have both people doing it, I think that's a true key to success in a relationship. But what I've learned is that I have to take responsibility for my actions and my behavior, regardless if it was justified. I have to understand that just because I feel like it's right, it's not all about me. There's two people in this relationship. There's variables coming from two different directions. Although I think that my behavior is justified at times, I have to realize that I'm essentially the problem, because I can't control her, how she acts, how she feels, but I can control my behavior. And I've looked into going to anger management. I've gotten personal therapy myself, and I've really seen a difference. We've both seen a difference. Like I said, we fought recently bad enough to where we said we were going to get divorced. But that is a struggle that we all have. That's a battle we have. We've learned from it and grown from it, and we're probably in the best we've ever been in our relationship right now that we've been in the past 10 years. But there was a hiccup not too long ago. So it's all about constant growth, but it's really about self-discovery, focusing on the problems within our own selves that we can control and that we can work on and fix, and not really relying on somebody else to dictate or determine our happiness. If I'm relying on her to fix the problem, I'm essentially setting myself up for failure, and vice versa. If she's relying on me to fix a problem, it's out of her hands, it's out of her control. And ultimately what that's going to do, that's what we've experienced, is going to create resentments towards each other. if I make her out to be the bad guy and make her out to have these emotional problems and feel like it's her fault, she's not gonna be like, oh yeah, you know what, I should fix myself. She's going to resent me for that. She's gonna be pretty pissed off that I view her like that, and that I interpret, or I portray her as this like weak, mentally weak individual. It's not gonna change a damn thing. It all comes with self-discovery. And I think as a man, this is coming from a man's perspective. It's a lot harder to kind of let our pride and our ego go and really think like, wow, I am acting like a piece of shit. I'm literally acting in a way that's unwarranted and unjustified to the person I love because I'm a selfish asshole. I don't want to admit that regardless of what triggered my emotions and how justified I think they are, I'm still in the fucking wrong for acting that way. And if I can control that and I can work on that, again, she's probably going to feel better about things. She's probably going to want to, it's going to be better communication now because she's not going to have to put her guard up. And it's going to be something that I can fix. And honestly, it's the weirdest thing is like, I don't like to fail and I don't like to be wrong. But when I did have this, when I guess saw this for the first time and realized like, holy shit, I am the problem and I can work on it and I can fix it. It was actually one of the best feelings I've ever had in my life because our fights were so spontaneous and really unpredictable that we'd fight hard, we'd make up, but we would never really fix the problem. Now I feel as if the problem may not be fixed right away, but it's going to get better and better and better, and it's all actually within my control. I'm not stressing out about something that's outside my control anymore. So that's my bit of advice, not, like I said, not professional advice, just what I've learned over the past few months and the past few years, the past decade of being in a relationship with one person that I truly love. Just my perspective on how to do your part to make a relationship work and to make it better and grow, and doing what's in your control and not stressing about it and anything else that's outside your control. It's a very powerful feeling, very powerful, I guess you would say, knowledge to learn and to accept. And yeah, I couldn't be happier that I've realized what I have, and that I realized, even though I thought I was doing things right and I thought I was clear because I hadn't done anything wrong and I was just being reactive, that now I know what the problem is and now I can proactively fix it. So hopefully this helps you men and women out there. This is a man's perspective on how to fix or grow a relationship, how to contribute and do what you can essentially to make sure that it's working and make sure that you're doing your part. Thank you guys for watching. If you feel like anybody you know could benefit from this video, please share it with them or tag them in it. Subscribe to my channel so you can continue getting my videos. And until the next one, have a nice day, guys.